An 80s horror comedy with a vampire, Frankenstein, and a werewolf. You might think I'm talking about the Monster Squad, but you'd be wrong. Hey guys, so today I'm going to talk about Transylvania 5000, starring Jeff Goldblum and Ed Begley Jr. Now this is not a good movie by any stretch of the imagination. It's really not even a funny movie, I guess, but I absolutely adore this movie, so I wanted to talk about it. Now, I'll give you a little background about why I love this movie before I really get into it. When I was younger, maybe like 12 or 13, I was chasing my little brother around the outside of my grandparents' house, throwing pecans at him because they had pecan trees. So I'm chasing him and throwing these pecans at him, and we're running up the stairs. And the next thing I know, I wake up in the hospital. Blacked out, wake up in the hospital. Now, I thought for all these years that I had just like tripped and fallen and hit my head on the stairs, these like brick steps. But I found out a few years ago that what happened is he turned around and pushed me down the stairs. Unbelievable. So I wake up in the hospital, I turn the TV on, and what is on? Comedy Central, Transylvania 5000. So this is a movie that has a nostalgic place in my heart. And that's something about these really bad movies from the 80s and 90s, is that nostalgia sort of warps the way that you see these movies. For example, I never saw that movie Nothing But Trouble as a kid. So as an adult, one of my friends went on and on about how good it was and how much he loved it. I watched it, did not like it at all. Yeah, I appreciate the production design and the set design and all of that. It's really great, but the movie itself was not good. And Transylvania 5000 is not good. If I saw this as an adult and didn't have this, experience with it as a kid, would I like it? Would I love it? Maybe not. I don't know. It's hard to say. So let's get to it. A little background about how this movie was made, because this is incredible to me. So the Dow Chemical Company, they had funds that were frozen in the country of Yugoslavia, where they had, I don't know if they had a factory there or if they had done some kind of deal there, but legally they couldn't take the money out of Yugoslavia. So what did they do? They decided to make a movie, put the money into making a movie in Yugoslavia so that then they could make the money back in America. So basically this whole movie is a big money laundering scheme. Amazing. So this movie was directed by Rudy DeLuca, who had, I guess he was like a TV writer in the 70s, 60s and 70s. And he co-wrote some Mel Brooks movies. And you can kind of see that in the writing style of this movie. So it stars Jeff Goldblum and Ed Begley Jr. as these two reporters who they're given an assignment by their boss. They work for this supermarket tabloid, like the Weekly World News, the newspapers that you see in line at the supermarket. And they have articles about Bat Boy and stuff like that. There's a paper in the background that says, "Are aliens using your body for sex while you sleep?" Are they? Possibly. So in the commentary, Rudy DeLuca talks about how he tried to write this movie for a comedy team, like a Laurel and Hardy or an Abbott and Costello type thing. And does it, you can see how he wrote it that way.
When you talk to me, don't touch me. I don't touch you. No, what do you call this and that? And this. I don't want you to do this, or this, and especially this. I don't do that. Well, in case you think of it, I don't want you to do it.
But it really just doesn't work with them. I mean, you can't just write stuff for a comedy team, because he talks about how, in the 80s, there were no comedy teams, and you can't just write that. You can't just put two guys together and have it really work for that kind of thing, because the Abbott and Costellos of the world had years and years of vaudeville practice and stuff where they worked on their routine before they started making movies, which is why it worked so well.
Well, what are you asking me for?
I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, who is on first?
I'm asking you who's on first.
That's the man's name.
That's whose name?
Yes.
Well, go ahead and tell me.
Who?
The guy on first.
Who?
The first baseman.
Who is on first?
Have you got a first baseman on first?
Certainly.
Then who's playing first?
Absolutely.
So in the beginning, the boss of the supermarket tabloid gets a videotape of some guys who have an encounter with the Frankenstein monster. And he sends them to Transylvania to investigate.
Transylvania? All right. Where is that?
I don't know. It's over there someplace.
Fine. We'll find it.
You better find it, because I'm counting on you guys for a Frankenstein story.
I'm sorry, you're counting on us for a what story?
Frankenstein. You remember Frankenstein? Big guy.
Jeff Goldblum wants to be a serious reporter, so he's not too happy about it.
A monster story.
No, Mac, I don't want to go out on a monster story.
And this is a movie that I love, like, every line of this movie.
You're giving me a headache.
Listen, why don't you take your headache and get the hell out of here? Only when you come back, you better come back with a story.
The boss of the newspaper is played by Norman Fell, who was the, like, neighbor in Three's Company. And it has this, like, special guest appearance by Norman Fell. It always throws me whenever a movie has a special guest credit, because that's like, for a TV show, yeah, there's a special guest in one episode, but in a movie, like, they're in the movie, there's no special guest, they're just in the fucking movie. Then we get this rockin' ass theme song.
Transylvania 6, 5,000. Transylvania 6, Transylvania 6, 5,000. Transylvania 6, 5,000.
So they get to Transylvania. The first thing Jeff Goldblum sees is this woman that he starts hitting on. She has a little girl. Jeff Goldblum doesn't give a shit. He's just hitting on her left and right.
Hey. Go play with that kid.
I don't want to play with the kid. She's not my age.
Play with the kid.
Why should I play with the... Oh, I know why.
I told you to stay near me.
Gil, stop playing with Laura.
He spends the entirety of this movie ignoring the story they're supposed to be working on while they're sent there, hitting on this woman. Ed Begley Jr. immediately starts point blank asking people about Frankenstein.
I've heard stories.
Stories about us?
No. I mean, Frankenstein.
Who?
Frankenstein. You know Frankenstein, don't you?
Of course, everyone laughs at him because it's ridiculous.
Have you seen Frankenstein lately?
Frankenstein?
Is it ridiculous? The place they stay at is this hotel that was converted from a old castle, old Transylvanian castle. It's owned by the mayor, played by Jeffrey Jones, who was in a bunch of like Tim Burton movies early on, like Beetlejuice. Then we meet the employees of the castle hotel. We meet Kramer, Michael Richards' early performance. I love Kramer in this movie. The whole time, he just makes these pathetic jokes, trying to make them laugh. He's like trying to be a stand-up comedian or something. He's just like slipping on, throws down a banana peel so he can slip on it.
Yeah. Huh? Oh, it's a beautiful day today. Oh, hey. It's good, huh? It's funny. Yeah. No, wait, I want to show you something.
Get out.
Wait.
Out.
I'm sorry. It's good, huh?
He went out of his way in Yugoslavia. He pretty much like wrote a lot of his own jokes. He showed up with all these props like this.
Hey, it's fun.
That's great. That's fucking great. They said they wouldn't have thought about it for the movie. He just showed up with it. Can you imagine, like, you're making a movie, all of a sudden Kramer shows up with this fucking thing? Then there's the butler, Radu, who's played by, I don't know who the hell this guy is, but he's got like a hunchback and he's just, I don't know, a henchman. Then later on we meet Gina Davis, who is like a nymphomaniac vampire who's not really a vampire. She's just some girl who wears vampire teeth and thinks she has to dress up like a vampire to get attention or something. I don't know. I think this was the first time that Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis worked together. They went on to work on other movies together like The Fly and Earth Girls Are Easy. They were married for a few years. But I don't think they even really shared the screen together in this, because mostly she's after Ed Begley Jr. She really likes Ed Begley Jr. We get this guy, Joseph Bologna, I don't know who the hell this guy is. I don't know what else he was in. Maybe some early Mel Brooks stuff, I don't know. And he plays like a mad scientist type character, Dr. Malavacqua.
Do you want to wait for lightning, master?
I don't work with lightning. I hate it. I work with all this other shit.
So Ed Begley Jr. finds out that his license was revoked. He overhears the chief of police, inspector, and the mayor talking about all this stuff because they hear, oh, they're here for Frankenstein. And they laugh at him, but they're also like, oh, shit, because they know what it is. And what it is, we find out, is that Dr. Malavacqua has been working on all of these people who are like deformed and stuff. So the Frankenstein monster is this guy named Kurt Hunyadi, who was in a car accident and was badly mangled, and he put him back together the best he could, and nobody in town wanted to see him because he looks like the fucking Frankenstein monster. But he's not the Frankenstein monster. He's Kurt Hunyadi, random dude. Then we find out about how Gina Davis is not a vampire. There's the wolf man early on. They meet this old like gypsy woman. Is gypsy politically correct? Can you call them gypsies? I don't know. I'm just going with gypsy. This old gypsy woman has her goon go get them and bring them to her. And she tells them about the werewolf, right? Like in the Wolfman. And we follow him. We find out it's just a dude with some kind of hair condition where hair just grows uncontrollably all over his body. He looks more like Cousin It than a werewolf, but I guess he looks like a werewolf. I don't know. There's also this twisty guy who, I don't know, we never go into his story. He is supposed to be like the creature from the Black Lagoon, although he's just a human hand comes up out of the lagoon. So the inspector and the mayor, they all want to burn the Hunyadi guy, and then Jeff Goldblum explains what's happening. We get this great bit with Ed Begley Jr.
Let's hear what he has to say. Yeah, let's listen to him.
Yes, let's hear him out.
Yeah. Who would do such a lousy thing?
Yes, who would do that?
And then there's a big party, and we see how we get the headlines for the Weekly World newspaper that they work for. Because, you know, if they don't get the headline, Frankenstein lives, then they're all both going to be fired.
Because if you guys come back with nothing, you're both fired.
So this is one of those 80s horror comedies. I've talked about them before. I talked about The Burbs, and there are a lot of them. I don't know if I'd call it a black comedy, but it's definitely like a horror comedy. It's playing on horror tropes and stuff. I'd put this in league with Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, maybe more than any other one. But like I said, I love this movie because I have like personal history with it, and I just wanted to talk about it. Am I going to change your mind about it if you don't like it? Probably not. Do I think you should watch it? Maybe. I don't know. Probably. Will you like it? I don't know. I'm not promising anything, but I can say that I love it. You might love it. You might not love it. You might think, wow, this is horrible. Would I think it's horrible now? I don't know. Like I said, it's hard to say. People are cutting the fucking grass outside. You hear that? You hear the lawnmowers? Well, alright guys, thanks so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe and all of that stuff. And I'll see you guys next time.